Good afternoon to everyone. This is the power of healing with Utabi. Ungowekhetelo. Ngingukhanya, ngingunompilo. Iqhwale ntwasahlobo, umthombo wokuhle kodwa. Ikhehla lesalukazi mawusha kamoya. Inkanyezi yamakhosi komdungwa. Inkosazana yelanga nenyanga. Yeah, that's me. It's me, guys. Ne? Sorry. Ish. I just got distracted. So today, as you can see, we're going to talk about generational cases, ne? The most famous general cases that a lot of people talk about. However, this is what we're going to discuss. Generic generational cases versus wild generational cases. So the wild generational cases usually are cases that are laid by other people, right, on your life or on your ancestors' life. So it's generations back, ne? So the generic, why am I saying that there's generic generational cases and there's wild generational cases now? So when we speak about generic, it's something that is common to most of us. So basically, those cases are most common to most of us, and sometimes they're not actually man-made, but through because of pain, circumstances surrounding the time. What else? So I mentioned pain, circumstances surrounding that time. Sorry, and then you get that it's the slippery of the tongue, or the when the tongue slips, and then somebody says something which is going to you going to, or your mother or parents or your grandmother carried that slippery of the tongue nje kuthe sishelela ulimi ngasho kabi kanje, that it can actually be carried from generation to generations, but we're going to explain it further, ne? So yeah, so there's generic ones which are mostly common to all of us, and so when it becomes wild, when a case so because of pain, right, and in circumstances and slipping of a tongue, there's no action, but now it becomes wild when there's action taken to what has been said or what has been done. So when there's action now it becomes wild because there's forces that were combined. Uguti, now this case must be fulfilled, right? So I'll explain the difference of them. However, guys, I'm not going to go deep because I want to now keep it to the surface, because as I go deep sometimes, then the YouTube issue. So yeah, now so I'm going to keep a lot of things to a surface. Okay. There was something that I wanted to mention yesterday, that I thought I would remember today. Yeah, but okay, I've forgotten about it, so that's not a problem. Mhlambe at some point ngizoyikhumbula futhi. So yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today, ne? So asiqaleni the common ones, the generic ones, right? When we speak about naming a child, that we all have impact on of, because we all are suffering from effects from that, because when a child is named, sometimes it's taken from ancestral names. So let's say, for instance, Utabile, right? It's taken from an ancestral name, and Utoluguti, now the name carries so much weight that it seems like you are following it. So makuzotiwa kuwe ngathini, Nozita, yeah, let me say that. makuzothiwa kumntwana unozitha, and you'd find this child forever in a midst of conflicts and forever elandelwa nje abantu bangamthandi. So that's what we call a name curse, which is part of the generational curse, because it was taken somewhere because of circumstances at that time. Because surely if uzobizwa ngonozitha, it means that maybe your mom was experiencing some sort of hatred or this bad energy surrounding her at that moment. Now this name follows you everywhere. So that is what we call now generational curse based on a name. So it makes it generic because all of us are victims of circumstances due to the name that we were given. Okay, and then there's this one. So guys, we need to be able to identify where a curse is and when a blessing is, because we are suffering from not really understanding the difference between the two. And it comes to this point now where we speak about an overprotective chief spirit that you have. So you'd find that your chief spirit is so overprotective that ngaphandle kwakhe your things don't happen, right? It's not a case. So you'll find that until it's reported to him to say, okay, or hey, that gogo namhlanje ngiyaku interview. So that chief spirit basically needs that engagement and that interaction between the two of you to say genzeka kanje manje. Without that ayikho into eqhubekayo, and without that uthola ukuthi even noma ulotsholwa kuthiwa hey vele kwabheda nje emalobolweni, it's because this person wants to be involved in everything that you do and ufuna ukuripotelwa, because this is the overprotective chief spirit that's guiding you, or that's your guy, or that's forever active in your life. So now animtsheli lo muntu lona, and then they become overprotective in such a way that to you it seems like a curse, but it's actually not. It's a blessing, because the only thing lo muntu ayidingayo, or the only thing the spirit needs, is for you to interact and connect with her or him. Okay, so that happens mostly when it is like a grandmother, a grandfather, an aunt, sometimes it's a colleague that actually loved you so much, a friend that loved you so much. So they basically, because remember that we do not choose the chief spirits. We don't have any power in that, right? So that usually is basically what is seen to be a curse, but it's actually not. So it's common to all of us as well. And then we've got now curses that are laid by someone, which is now the power of the tongue. Curses that was laid by someone who has been hurt by the family or by you in general. And that curse actually it's laid upon the whole family. So umuntu akhe sathi if abantwana bakho, even your kids are going to experience this pain. That so basically let me make an example about a disabled person. You are figure lo muntu lona, you mock them and you laugh at them, and then they would say to you, I wish some of your children and your children's children can actually experience the disability I'm going through. That is a curse laid by a mouth, and that is because of pain that person is going through at the moment. And also sometimes you get that there's tears involved. Okay, so there's tears involved, and then with this curse of being laid by a person, guys, it can also go wild, because I will explain later that somebody doesn't just stop at saying it. All right. So when it's laid to your family, it now becomes from you, or let's say from your mom to you, to your children, to your children's children, to your great grandchildren. So iyahamba because it was not it was not sorted out. It was, understand. So and then you get that now there's this one that is through a smell. So guys, there's this curse that people believe you have if you've got a smell or an odor. So So basically, some told you smell, and then you've got this particular smell within you, which is could be armpits, it could be your mouth, and it could be sometimes your feet. That is not a curse per se, unless there's actions to it. There's things that were thrown or that were done. Okay, now that is man-made, which is now a wild. But in the more generic manner, it's not really a curse, but sometimes you get that it's just a genetic hormonal problem that your family has. So if you get that your grandmother has it, your mom has it, you have it, it's basically a genetic hereditary hey herited okay, it's inherited, let me say that. Inherited. Hey, yeah, no, English is, I think it's yeah, fighting with me today. So let's just say, so it's genetic hormonal problems, hereditary. Oh, thank you. So it's just something that is carried over by everybody, and just because of in hormone imbalance. So basically, it's not a case per se, but it's just something that needs medical attention. Uh, Now there's this one. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a lot of them, guys. I just mentioned a few because there's a lot of generic generational cases that we overlook, but they are there. Okay, so there's a lot of them that I can mention. So I just picked a few. And then you get to that. So there is this one that is a case that is very, very, very common. A curse laid by a parent to a child. Now, this is the sleeping of the time, or the assumed to be slippery of the tongue, because I believe that when you say something, you mean it at that moment. So you cannot know ithang yami ishelele kanjani, because you are in control of that. So it's that comes from pain and feeling at that moment, where you get that umuntu athi, "Ah, wena." And I think I did mention this in one of the videos as well. Umuntu athi kuwe, "Oho, akukho lapho ozoya khona wena." So you're going nowhere. Your life is just a mess, and you're like, that is now laid by your parents, or laid by your great grandparents too. Or sometimes there's this one that is very common, where they say, I want you to feel what you. So your parent will say, "I want you to feel, or you will see what you're putting me through your children." So yeah, abantwana bakho bazokuzwisa lento ongizwisa yona. That actually sometimes is a case until they sorted out, and because some things you need to face. So when that is said, because the power of the tongue, and guys, we need to speak up so much about the power of the tongue, so that, because sometimes we are gifted people, and sihamba nabantu, we've got guides, we've got spirit guides, that when you say something in that space of anger and pain, bona bayithathe ngenye indlela. So we need ukuthi sibe very careful of what. That is why they would rather have you be by yourself than engaging with people, because at some point when you can't control your anger or your emotions, and then you say something to somebody ezomlimaza for years. So those are the generic ones that I really wanted to speak about. But with this, with the smell and the odor, the body odor or the body smell, guys, it's actually sometimes because of hormones, as I've said, and it's taken from generation to generation. So we need to get tested over that, and sometimes you need to get some sort of allergy test. Okay, now let's talk about the wild ones now, the wild generational cases that are actually laid by other people on you with action now. So so now they act on what they've said to you. So when I mean they act, now they go and look for umuthi, okay, to actually conclude what they've said. So now ngiyofuna umuthi engizowusebenzisa so that whatever that I've said actually becomes true. That is now a wild one where it's really so with the common common generic generational cases, sorry, it's easy. The cure is very easy. The cure of that is very easy. There's actually things that we can do and ways that we can actually try to sort it out. However, with the wild ones, it's then that's where now kudingeka there's big things and you to go here and there and do this and do that. Kufuneka izinto, we understand, because it was done now. So then now fanele ukuthi nezinto esihlanganisayo, we understand that has to be aligned with what was actually used from umuntu oyishilo. But I'm not going to get deeper into that. I don't want to give you ideas. So yeah, with the wild ones, so with one thing about the wild generational cases is that it's very difficult to let go of them. So it's very difficult for people to let go of them, and they actually don't know that that was a case, but they can't let go of it, and I'll explain in a moment. So you get that now. Kuna this one that is done through ukusetshenzwa kwamathuna sekhaya. So they bazohamba bayo cuphe emathuneni, and then mhlambe bayicupha kwelomkhulu or kwekhokho, and then now it becomes so whatever that was done then iyehla to all generations, iyehla to all generations. Do you understand? And then that is into esetshenzwe ngekhaya lonke, all of it. And then now iyehla lento iyehla from generation to generation to even sometimes the Toguti sifo, for instance, it's an ailment. Now this ailment is taking people are dying the same manner, like the same symptoms, the same signs. They all experience that. So that is a wild generational case that was actually man-made by someone over this family. Now, so kunaleyo kusetshenzwa kwamathuna bese kusetshenzwa amanzi endawo okuyo. So when that usually leyo kusebenza amanzi endawo nokusebenza umhlabathi nokusebenza amathumbu, usually that is done by family members, because they know, and I did a video about this, they know you from beginning to end. So it is easy ukuthatha umuntu ukusebenza umuntu ngamanzi endawo. It is easy ukusebenza umuntu ngamathuna umuntu mawumazi. Okay, and then kunale that one now it's a generational case because kwasetshenziswa isikhali. So a weapon was used, either a gun, a knife, but a weapon was used. That's a wild generational case. There's then a generational case when shoes were used, igatulo. In spirituality, there's a reason why we dream of shoes. Okay, there's a reason why we dream of certain items. There's a reason why we dream of certain parts of clothing. Okay, now in spirituality, if you're going to do something for someone, but I will not go that deep into that. That's between me and Ugogo. Especially when certain ancestral things are done. Now you get that your great grandfather was given shoes by a neighbor, okay, and there's a story with these shoes. So and then we say, okay, now inking and for some reason your grandfather could not let go of the shoes. Now and now you cannot let go of the shoes because these shoes or the certain clothing or the certain blanket was given in some sort of sentimental reason to your family. Now you don't give it out. Got this item. So I'm not going to go deep, guys, but I'm just putting you on the alert of some things. And now there's generational curses that were done through money. Okay? And then not so there are generational curses that are done through money. Now let's talk about money, the difference. A person, there's two types. There's coins and there's paper. With coins, there's a message and meaning. With paper, there's also meaning. But with paper, paper money, sorry, kunezinto eziningi. There's a lot of meaning. So with coins, it's not necessarily that something there's something that's going to happen. Do you understand? It's just a message. And basically coins, when you, through a dream, when you are given coins, ubuhle, it's something wonderful, because it depends on the coins and the type and the color. And then within those coins, there's messages, lama coins, and sometimes it's presence of spirits, sometimes it's a new journey, but it depends on nikezwe kanjani, imaphi kanjani, okay? And then with paper money, that's where the problem starts. That's where the problem starts. So kuyenzeka ukuthi the generational curse was done through money, and some of us, we are very much aware about certain things that money can be used for, but it doesn't take millions or me giving you 1,000 rand to actually lay a curse on your generation, or use that money for some rituals in your generation. It's not the amount of money. It's just that now we are so you need to identify ukuthi ize kanjani le mali. But guys, as I said, I'm not going to go deep, because this is YouTube, by the way. Now, generational curses that are done by in-laws. So I would say the in-laws parts, or those curses, basically they could be generic because a lot of people experience them, but also it becomes wild if it now has action. Yeah, understand? So you get that it's now so in generic space, it's just somebody not liking you at all. Do you understand? And then and it's just something that, and with them not liking you, obviously there's going to be an exchange of words. But it becomes wild now when it affects your kids, it affects your grandkids. That's now somebody that, okay. So once somebody, so there's, okay, so it becomes a problem when it affects generations. It was not about just me despising you little. It was basically hatred, and that hatred manifested to something else. Okay, so then it becomes a generational curse over and over. And sometimes, guys, it actually becomes a pattern. So you see, with marriage, there are curses that actually become a pattern. If great grandmother had experienced, if great grandmother has divorced and experienced divorce and remarrying, now it goes like this: your mom, you, so you'd get that, you get divorce, remarried, and divorce. So divorce is basically now part of your family. So that is also seen as a wild generational curse. And then wild generational curse that has been laid by someone over your family, ne? And you get that now by action, where even with your parent as well, Oh, okay. No. So let's say that the curse now has been laid by someone. Ne? It becomes wild when that person passes on. Because now Lomuntu has been hurt by your family, or has gone through this difficult time with your family, and then ashone. Then they pass on, and then everywhere you go, you'll be told, "Kunomuntu okanje kanje." This person really didn't actually use muti, but the fact that usedlulile emhlabeni, you understand, makes it even more, because they carry that pain across the grave, or they carry that pain to the grave, because it depends on the amount of pain they went through because of that they had to lay a curse. So we need to be very conscious of what we do. And then as I said, these are very difficult to let go, especially when it comes to objects that were given. um they are very difficult to let go, because they carry this energy that draws them to you. You are drawn to them, that anye ngikhona ukuyihambisa le, and you because umkhulu bekeyithanda, and when you look at it, maybe that is actually the issue in that yard. um Omonye, if I should make an example, omonye wanikwa inkomo, and so they kept the skin of that cow. Obviously the cow mhlawumbe iyasetshenziswa, kwahlatshwa or something, kwabekwa leso skin leso. That skin carries that energy, um created by. So now there's generational curses where umuntu wabona a shadow. So basically this shadow comes, a shadow by a deity. It's a shadow that comes as if in the form of a man. Umuntu athatha ngibona indoda egcoke izinto ezimnyama, indoda egcoke izinto ezimnyama, and this man, when this man comes forth or comes through, you are not yourself anymore, because you become anxious and like sometimes frightened. Now you've seen it, and yeah, and then it changed your life, or your mother's seen it, and then mhlambe something happens, it changed their lives, and now you see it, and then your kids see it, but you guys don't communicate to say nayi into engiyibonayo, and that becomes a problem, because it's actually moving from person to person or generation to generation. So you don't share the information in such a way that all of you now see those things. And sometimes with the shade of the deity, it chooses people who are very gifted spiritually. So it would choose the person ozoyibona, or sometimes it was seen and your ancestors are really trying to say, man, this message, that is why people die through shock, and then the shocks become sort of seems like a stroke, and it was actually shock from what they have seen, which they were not meant to see. So this thing now, umuntu afika ayisho ukuthi yazi ngibona into eso, or I saw this, and now it becomes into yakhe that stays forever, that it stays in the yard or in that house forever, because isekhona that spirit and or that shadow, and then it's going to come. It's not something that comes every day, but it chooses this card to where it comes and it appears, and to whom it appears to. Sometimes omunye umuntu, maybe you get this awkward feeling of seeing it idlula, but you don't take it into your head. So yeah. Now there is this one wild, which is I don't know whether to put it in the generic generational curses, or the wild, because it differs negakhulu, and I'm not going to explain it more. The way we give birth sometimes, okay, so you'd get that when in all your children you basically went through a C-section, or you went through theater and you had to be cut, an operation. So with all your children, that is caused by, so either it is caused by the spirit guide that you're not listening to, or now in most cases there's reasons for it. And as I've mentioned in that video of Inzuza, that's the most common with the Inzuza babies, or the Inzuza female children, or the chosens of Inzuza. It's most common if you are female. And then sometimes then you get that it was something that was man-made, that anizukuthola ingane ngendlela enhle. You understand? And also with the people that we trust with our tummies must be pregnant. The so-called baby shower, but I'm not going to get into that. So yeah, those things. Oh, I forgot one. Sorry. I forgot one. Yes. So there is also this wild generational curse that is done through the wedding attire or the wedding gown. So it cares that okay, it was done to your great grandmother, and then it's going through to a lot of people. But in most cases, that it's the same as the divorce one. So kufike wathathwa something with the attire yayenziwa okuthize. Now everybody experiences some sort of difficulty when it comes to marriage. You understand? When it comes to marriage, now wonke umuntu experience same thing. So basically now it is a link between even the pattern of divorce, or the pattern of makufaneke kushade umuntu mase kufaneke aphume la ekhaya, somebody just dies. Makufaneke ukuthi kuphume umuntu, akuzukuphuma umuntu. The wedding will not continue unless somebody is in hospital or somebody just dies. That is also the wild generational case. So yeah, guys, I think you've learned. There's a lot of them, but I just wanted to mention the few and the difference between the wild and the generic. So hope you do enjoy my video, guys, and you do subscribe to my channel, notification buttons, and comments and sharing as well, because we need to share and educate each other. So this is Katini, where it's a time of revelations and it's a time of answers. So we need to share some things with abanye abantu so they get help. Thank you so much.